Hello, my friends, and welcome to Pro Wrestling Daily. My name is Aaron Machbitz. The second official WWE episode of Monday Night Raw on Netflix was absolutely fantastic. I think now, officially, you can say the Netflix era has begun because this episode, which aired on January 13th, 2025, was absolutely fantastic, highlighted by some great matchups. An inaugural champion was crowned. More people slated themselves for the Royal Rumble, which is looking out to be absolutely stacked. So, speaking of the Royal Rumble, we saw CM Punk sort of open the show and cut this promo, yada, yada, yada. Don't love CM Punk, but man, the people do love him. I still think Seth Rollins should have beat him last week, but we'll see. Maybe that feud continues, maybe it doesn't. But CM Punk announces himself for the Royal Rumble. Then Seth Rollins comes out. He announces himself for the Royal Rumble. Then Drew McIntyre comes out and he announces himself for the Royal Rumble. So absolutely right now at this moment, the Royal Rumble is superstar packed with studs, with CM Punk, with John Cena, with Roman Reigns, with LA Knight, with Seth Rollins, with Drew McIntyre, with Jey Uso. I mean, those are six guys who could easily win that match. You could make a case for them winning that match. I still think The Rock is going to show up at some point. I don't know who's going to win. I really don't. I think people want John Cena to win, but I don't think he will. I initially said maybe the storyline is John Cena outlasts everyone else. He's there, boom, no one else is coming out. He's won, and then The Rock enters number 31, throws him out, and then moves on to WrestleMania to potentially face Cody Rhodes. But now they're saying The Rock won't be at WrestleMania, which I think is a lie. I think he will be at WrestleMania. I think he might have Cody Rhodes. I think he might have Roman Reigns, and then he goes to WrestleMania 42, and I think that maybe potentially will be his last one, unless I think they finish this sort of tribal chief, family type drama stuff, but I think that's a potential for a Royal Rumble. I also think CM Punk winning is a potential for Royal Rumble, where he'll go on to face either Cody Rhodes or Gunther at WrestleMania because he wants his Royal Rumble moment. I love Seth Rollins. I think he's the man. I'm always okay with him winning the Royal Rumble. Roman Reigns, maybe. I still think that it should just be Roman Reigns and Punk going at it at WrestleMania and just this intense feud at who's the quote-unquote best in the world. I think Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins deserve a lot going into WrestleMania every year because those are marquee players and they deserve marquee matchups. Gunther obviously announced on this episode of Monday Night Raw that Gunther and Jey Uso will face at Saturday night's main event. Gunther is going to absolutely demolish Jey Uso, but Jey Uso has got a lot of buzz, a lot of pop. He's very over with the crowd. He's trying to prove himself continuously over and over and over as a singles wrestler, which he can get it done, but you're not going to dethrone Gunther right now heading into WrestleMania, potentially when he's going to have the biggest match of his career, hopefully against John Cena. So when we're looking at the Royal Rumble, it's absolutely packed with studs, and there are many different directions that WWE can go in to help place the main event of WrestleMania, which I've stated earlier, or in another video, that Triple H has already penciled in the main event of WrestleMania. So obviously they know who's going to win the Royal Rumble, what's potentially going to happen at Elimination Chamber, and what matches are potentially going to be set for WrestleMania in Las Vegas. And so I'm looking forward to that Royal Rumble match. There's a bunch of different directions they can go in, but I think what I'm looking forward to even more than the Royal Rumble is what's potentially going to happen between Seth Rollins and CM Punk. I just don't think they're done. They have this match on the debut episode of Monday Night Raw on Netflix. Pretty decent match. Looks like CM Punk has lost a step, at least in my opinion, as a former professional wrestler who can see the intricacy of the moves and the pacing and the execution just a little bit different than sort of the casual fan. It really looked like Seth Rollins was carrying that match. He also got a black eye, which is from CM Punk, which is technically not supposed to happen in the professional wrestling world. Of course, accidents happen. It's a very dangerous and very difficult thing to execute these moves on a high level, but I'm just not sure that CM Punk can carry the ball and run with it anymore like he did 10 years ago when he had that amazing run as champion. I think we're better off, having him have these tight singles matches, potentially against Seth Rollins, potentially against Roman Reigns, but I really don't think the Seth Rollins-CM Punk feud is over. I don't think CM Punk should win the Royal Rumble. I don't think he should be in a title match at WrestleMania. I think he should be in a really, really strong feud against another really, really, really good competitor like a Seth Rollins or like a Roman Reigns, but I just don't see why you would want to have him win the Royal Rumble, or go to WrestleMania or have a title. Like, he just doesn't deserve any of that stuff. And maybe deserve is the wrong word, or maybe I'm a little salty, kind of like Seth Rollins. Maybe that's why I'm in the corner of Seth Rollins more than I'm in the corner of CM Punk. It could go either direction, but I don't think Seth Rollins and CM Punk need to be done with their feud, because I think they have a lot more to get out of each other, especially when it comes to their promo battles and maybe more intense matchups that might happen leading into a WrestleMania or an Elimination Chamber, or maybe that happens with Roman Reigns, or maybe that happens with Drew McIntyre. I think CM Punk and Drew McIntyre are done. They've already had an incredible feud last year where it was bloody and brutal and tough and hard. And so I think moving into this year's WrestleMania, where CM Punk will actually be able to compete. Hopefully he stays healthy. I really hope that. I hope everyone stays healthy, because it is a dangerous and hard business. But I think that's a better option for him than him winning the Royal Rumble and, facing Cody Rhodes. I don't want him to face Gunther unless Gunther just absolutely demolishes him and chops him into oblivion. But I think Seth Rollins and CM Punk aren't done, or they don't need to be done, because I think there's a little bit more steam and juice you can draw out of that to allow the fans to have another marquee matchup to buy into, sort of similar to what I think Randy Orton and Kevin Owens are going to do moving into WrestleMania and all these other moving pieces. But the last thing that we will discuss on today's show is the moment of the night. The moment of the night from the second episode of Raw on Netflix. What was the moment of the night? There was a couple of them that stand out to me. Penta's debut was really good. Didn't love his promo. Thought he talked too long. I don't really think he needed to say anything of that sort, but his debut was good. I think actually Chad Gable stood out to me even more than Penta did. I think Chad Gable deserves a big push and a singles title in 2025. It's cool that they're chanting "You suck" like they did to Kurt Angle, but this guy is just an absolute pro when it comes to being a professional in the ring. I really like Chad Gable, but shout out to Penta. Welcome to WWE. I'm glad the people received you well, but I was more impressed with Chad Gable. The women's Intercontinental Championship match was amazing. They took the bump from the apron to the floor on a suplex. So far, we're only 13, 14 days into 2025, but that's the bump of the year so far. So kudos to both of those women for just absolutely going balls to the wall, and for I can't say her name, but Lyra Valkyria, however you say it, sorry, for winning the inaugural Intercontinental Championship, similar to what Chelsea Green did with the United States Championship. I'm glad they're expanding the women's division so they can have more marquee matchups and big-time matchups, because I think she will face Becky Lynch for this title at WrestleMania, along with probably Bianca Belair and Charlotte Flair facing off against their respective champions. But I think that's cool to have more marquee matchups moving forward. But Chelsea Green is the best in the women's division. She's the best. So cheers to her. I'm glad she has a championship. But the moment of the night came when we saw Damian Priest face Finn Balor, and they took this massive suplex type bump off some sort of railing structure onto a couple tables. Then he gets on the stretcher, he beats him on the stretcher. Then the other guys at Judgment Day come out, and it's fucking chaos and it's crazy. And then Damian Priest ends up winning, because I have a soft spot for Damian Priest. I also got to train and work with him while I was living in Philadelphia as a wrestler. I absolutely love Damian Priest. He's a stud. He deserves everything that he gets. He's a fucking pro when it comes to wrestling. I loved his matches with Gunther. I loved him being World Heavyweight Champion. But the moment of the night was him winning. That main event was perfect. A great ending to that feud. Now hopefully sort of Finn Balor and Judgment Day can move on to something else, and Damian Priest can move on to some big shit heading into WrestleMania. And so that was great. I thought the second official episode of Monday Night Raw on Netflix was leaps and bounds better than the debut episode, and I think it only gets better from here as we head into WrestleMania season and all of these great things happening for the company. And, the biggest question mark right now is Logan Paul. So I'm excited to see what he thinks and how he thinks he can become the face of WWE, but we'll see. Logan Paul's a huge star. I don't know what his WrestleMania plans will be. I hope it's not against Gunther, but if that guy puts his mind to something, he can really do anything. He's one of the most, polarizing, most followed, most influential people on the planet. So if he wants to be a face of WWE, go for it, because I think it's just better for the brand and for exposure and for everything that happens. But those are my thoughts, feelings. Please make sure you subscribe, like, share, do whatever. But I'll see you guys next time for another video. But other than that, take care and cheers.